Okay, I think we are connected already. Hello, Jason. This is Maria from Bogota, Colombia. It's a pleasure to see you now.
Hello, Senator. It's an honor to be with you, especially on such a huge, important day in the beautiful country of Colombia, where you have the second round of the presidential election. What a huge day, not just for Colombia, but for all of South America and the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, it is. It is a special day because the public has to know that we are dealing today with any result that could happen at the end of this election day between freedom or slavery. We are aware of it. We have been living all the migration from the Venezuelan people since Chavez started into power, all the false promises that he did, and what happened. And what happened in every country that buys a ticket practically to hell, Jason.
Yes, and Senator, by way of background, obviously we're communicating with your friends and allies who are on GETTR and Facebook and YouTube. But what many people who might be tuning in for the first time might not realize is that you are the real standard bearer of the conservative movement in the country of Colombia. And could you give the new people who are tuning in and joining us a little bit of background of how we got to this point in the election, obviously talking about what happened with your early campaign and how we got here with Rodolfo Hernandez versus Gustavo Petro, and really this unparalleled, unique situation in Colombian history?
It's unique because the candidate Rodolfo Hernandez, it's an outsider. So all the predictions were twisted, or people people who finally analyze elections now they have a new variable of somebody who didn't have a political career except being a mayor of a city which is, I think, the fifth biggest city. Is not a very big city. It's fifth biggest city in Colombia, and he's an old guy, and he didn't have any electoral experience before being a mayor. He didn't belong to any political party before as a leader. So this new is a disrupting kind of scenario. So what we were living. Let me resume. In 2002, our country was lost. The highest amount of deaf people because of violence was at that specific date. War between guerrillas and paramilitares were everywhere. Massacres, uh, killing people everywhere. So we raised into 30,000 killings 2002 when President Uribe, which also was not exactly an outsider, but he didn't belong to the political elite from Bogota. He came from another state, which is Antioquia, which is very wealthy, which is a powerful, but for being a president, he was not like the chosen person for being a president. So when he finally stated practically that the only way to regain our country was with seguridad democrática, democratic security, it means you need to have all the forces, especially the army, to regain the territories. He did it because doing that, you give tranquility to people and you give security to investment, either internal, either external investors. So you could see how in 1 year, Jason, the country changed its
Mm.
profile. People started doing its business, even though people who had flu, who migrated, especially to the US, returned with the expectation to have again a life in Colombia. All the economic indicators show prosperity. But after that, he was for the period 4-year period. He went into a second period, changing the constitution, and he won. He won in the first round. He didn't need a second round. 80% of popularity, which is exceptional in a presidential career worldwide. Afterwards, he appointed Santos, Juan Manuel Santos, who was his Minister of Defense, as his successor. And I can tell you, because I lived that, the date of the elections of Juan Manuel Santos, all his group, from the political elite from Bogota, from the capital, the traditional elite, who has always played the role, who never cared what happened in any region of Colombia regarding violence, who could deal with evil and they didn't care because it's the revolutionary elite, evil elite. He, in 2 days, betrayed President Uribe. He
Mm.
changed all the rules and he started doing a peace process. Of course, he put in his pocket Congress, judicial system, and international community. It was amazing, amazing, all the threat and all the risk that we lived at that time. At that time, I was in the House, elected. I was ahead of Bogota, the House of Representatives. I got the most voted list at that time. And then we started doing opposition against Santos. Then came the second round of Juan Manuel Santos against Oscar Ivan Zuluaga, who was Uribe's candidate. We won the first round and they stole the second round with the money of Odebrecht. Now you could see how everything get linked. Odebrecht, the criminal entrepreneurials, the criminal private company that they were very prosperous since very decades ago, but they found by the hand of Lula that they could finance elections around Latin America and they could win more contracts. So they, how do you say, apostar? They play the game, choosing any candidate. They put money on both candidates. It happened everywhere in Latin
Mm.
America, but all the presidents and vice presidents are condemned except Juan Manuel Santos, who he enjoys impunity in this country. Finally, Hans Santos won, and then came the next presidential election. And Uribe put its candidate, which was Ivan Duque, and we won. But unfortunately, we won, but we never enjoyed to be a government's party. This government never took us as the political party of President Uribe, Centro Democrático, to govern, to be beside our votes, took him into presidency. Uribe took him into presidency, and it was 4 years that this government practically shared power with another political
Mm.
parties. The result, our party that was very strong, one of the biggest in Congress, finally lost seats in both Senate and in the House. I was elected after being in the House for the Senate. I was the fourth most voted after Uribe, of course, because he was the head of the Senate at that time. And today, God's will gave me the award that I really enjoy, to be the most voted woman in the history of Colombia at the Congress.
Wow.
I'm a conservative. I have many liberal ideas regarding economics, regarding, if people choose how to live its life, it's the private life of each one, but you have to respect other people's rights. I'm truly conservative. I enjoy being that. I have been crucified many years and I don't care because I won, and winning is people's understanding that I was telling the truth despite the politics of cancellation policy. The same as happened in your country. Happens everywhere because it's an agenda. Now we have to understand the agenda. Santos is behind, today is behind Petro's um, campaign.
Wow.
Gustavo Petro, Jason Miller, belonged to one of the worst terrorist guerrilla in Colombia called M19. M19 born from FARC when FARC decided to urbanize war, revolution. They born, they hide the real the real strategy from FARC. They invent myth as the communists always do. They create false reality and they lie every time.
And
Gustavo
Senator,
Petro,
Senator, if I
yes,
can just interrupt one thing, I want to make sure that people who are new to following Colombian politics realize just how important it is what you just said. Of the two candidates today, Rodolfo Hernandez, the former mayor, and Gustavo Petro, it is not that he was sympathetic to M19, which split off from FARC. He was an actual uniform wearing member of M19. This is remarkable that someone who literally was a separatist guerrilla rebel was a leader in that and is now in close contention for presidency of Colombia. This is mind blowing that literally a rebel leader is now on the cusp potentially of the presidency. I sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure people realized how serious this election is today.
there are pictures of Gustavo Petro uniformed and armed. The M19 played the role of being a romantic university group, revolutionary group. They play the role of being from middle class people, so like people that are intellectually prepared. But all of that was pure propaganda. They did atrocious acts. They kidnapped people. They put people in jails like rabbits. The jails were called people's jail.
Mm.
Remember that they always take the name of the people to uncover their atrocities and their barbaric acts. People's jail, cárceles del pueblo. There are pictures, there are videos. They committed a horrible crime against one of the leaders of a union. This was a black guy that didn't get along with its ideas. He was um, he was betrayed, he was killed, and he was left in the street without clothes. I still remember, Jason, the pictures at that time in the newspaper from my city, Cali, that shows how he was after being killed. It was horrible. And one of the most well known criminal acts that they made on the horrible background is the Justice Palace. I don't know how to say that in English. Palace of Justice or Justice Palace. Palace of Justice, I think, is like
Yes.
a how do you say it, Jason?
Yeah, the judicial palace or the justice ministry or the justice building.
Okay. So all the courts, because we have different courts, were there and they burned the whole building because they made a deal with Pablo Escobar to burn all the how do you say where they have in their archives of the criminal records, criminal
Mm.
investigations. They burned everything out. Pablo Escobar paid for it, and they kill almost all the judges.
Wow.
The army get there and they freed more than 200 people. And after a few years, I think 8 years, 10 years, they applied their strategy of investing reality. revolutionary in, I don't know how to say that in English, inversion. They twist reality. Remember
Mhm.
that all what they do, it's upside down. So they twist reality. They invent that the army has disappeared 11 people, and there were people that were completely burned out at that time in the 80s. You know that the professionals, the science professional, they didn't have the way to identify the bodies. But finally, 5 years ago, six of those bodies were the DNA identified, even though they are completely burned out. And these six from the 11 were from that myth that they created, and that myth has today a general of 90 years old in prison, condemned. You know, he was sentenced for 36 years, and Gustavo Petro, who belonged to that criminal group, is now the presidential candidate. They play Jason with the fragile, the memoria. The memory of people is so fragile that the leftists, socialists, fascists, Nazis, all of them are the same. They are the same. They're brothers. They're the same. They have the same birth. They're collective doctrines that destroy individuals, destroy the spirit. So today we have a former guerrilla group that participated in horrendous criminal acts, that today he says that the only weapon that he had in his hands was a water, how do you say, pistola de agua, water gun. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. A water gun. That's
A water gun is cynic. They don't care because they don't have principle. They don't get ashamed of anything. So today we're dealing between keeping our freedom or being a slave, as Venezuelans, as Nicaraguans, as now the Honduras, with the rise of that lady that gave a lot of dollars to Piedad Cordova. Remember that she was catched out of the airport of Tegucigalpa. She belongs to that criminal campaign of Gustavo Petro. Every bad guy is running on Gustavo Petro's campaign. That's the very truth. So today, this morning, I opened my eyes and I pray God to keep Colombia free. And you know that I felt a lot of peace in my soul, because I do believe that conscious of most Colombians is to be free, to protect Colombia. Most of the Colombians hate the guerrilla. We have been surviving guerrilla since 80 years ago, among others, other violent groups, yes, but the guerrilla has been killing people since 80 years. And all those wars were exported by Lenin with the International Revolution, the Comintern. If you just read some of the points of history that clear out why this happened in Latin America in the early 20s, then in the 50s, in the 60s, and now how this story repeats again by the hand of Castro, of Lula da Silva, you know, that he's running again, despite all the corruption background that he has, and despite all the all the wrong things that he did. Foro de Sao Paulo, Grupo de Puebla, Progressist International. They are here trying to catch our country, which is the crown jewel because of our geostrategic location, two oceans. We connect South America with Central America and the path to get to the US. And the communists here against us. And you know, we are moving also to know all the linkages of all these missions, NGOs, and people who goes country by country as an observers, electorate observers. Yesterday we got a lot of names of these people who get from Guatemala to Salvador, then to Bolivia, then to Ecuador, then had people, Iranian people from Hezbollah, friends of them, people from Spain, from the left, all these linkages among, as I call, is like a cancer cell, revolutionary cells who get, covered by human rights organizations, even though covered by organizations from the OAS, covered by NGOs from the US, from Europe, and get to every country just to help to destroy our democracy.
And Senator, that's a very important point what you bring up with regard to the communist influence in the region. Not only is Colombia right next door to Venezuela, where you've had this mass exodus of, I believe it's 2.5 million people who have fled Venezuela into Colombia. I think that's the correct number, fleeing from Maduro. Obviously, you have Cuba that is not too far away. But the additional country that's trying to get their clutches into Colombia, and how this then directly impacts the United States, is China. And Colombia is the one major country in South America that has not bought in to China's Belt and Road Initiative. And China desperately wants Colombia. And with Petro in charge of Colombia, if that were to happen, many believe that Petro will allow Colombia to embrace China's Belt and Road Initiative, giving the CCP, Communist China, a critical foothold, whether it be for oil, whether it be for coal, whether it be for the beef exports, whether it be for the strategic location, which would be so damning. And you mentioned a moment ago, and I want to make sure that people fully absorb the importance of this, the bad actors that Venezuela coddles, because it's been written extensively about how Hezbollah, along with the narco traffickers, all use Venezuela as a home base. And Maduro uses that money to prop up his illegal regime, to keep that dictatorship-like reign over the country and the free people of Venezuela. And the one crown jewel in South America, which, by the way, Colombia is America's strongest ally in South America, and historically has been our strongest ally. But if Colombia falls into the wrong hands, then all of that progress could be lost. And the free people of Colombia, who have worked so hard over the past 2 decades, in particular, to restore freedoms, to stop the separatist rebels, all of that progress could be lost. And so that critical fight that's happening today between Rodolfo Hernandez and Gustavo Petro, yes, it's all of Colombia's future, but it's so much bigger. You could make the case it's South America, Central America, and even the United States. It'll have an impact on everybody.
On everybody, everywhere, because remember that today politics is transnational, business are transnational. The evil, the crime today is transnational. You don't get criminals just in your neighbor. Today, everything is linked. The black market, every path is taken also shares with another criminals the same path. The same path where you traffic weapons is the same path where you traffic people. The same path where you traffic illegal drugs is the same. And the linkage is people from different countries. They understood how now they can make a marriage between a state trapping its resources regarding not just natural resources, but money, and make that marriage with narco traffic. So then you turn to be a narco government, narco regime. It's exactly what happened in Venezuela, which is not a nation anymore. Venezuela has melted as a nation, and they expulse its nationals. I heard that you said 200,000 Venezuelans. We have more than 2 million Venezuelans in our country. It's a diaspora of 7 million around the world. And if you see their faces, it's people that just walk. They have lost even the way you look. They have lost the
Mm.
spirit. They have lost like the will to keep fighting. They are like when you saw that movie of the lost souls. It's amazing how the Venezuelans has changed their features because of famine, because of illness, because of all the bad things that communists bring into human being. So today, Jason, we hope that Rodolfo Hernandez wins, that conscious of the Colombians, despite the violent regions that are obey to vote for Petro, like Nariño, like Cauca, like the Pacific, where people are very poor, they are obeying with fusils, with arms to vote with Petro. We hope that the people in the majority of the towns vote freely, consciously, for a man that has the experience of being an old man, the experience also of being prosperous. He's very rich, and the experience of being rich in a country that, yes, has a lot of difference, has a lot of injustices. We have to work hard on it, but a man that came from a poor peasant background, from a region of Colombia, who is very like it's very hard to grow for the peasants because the mountains is a region that, despite all the difficulties, people from Santander, which is the name of that regions, today are one of the most wealthy people in Colombia. Is like the people that has to face all the difficulties of the geographic difficulties, the difficulties of the weather, that finally it strength your soul to overcome the barriers. So we hope that the el viejo, como le dicen, Rodolfo, the old guy, that also is very smart. He took advantage of what somebody could call a con. No, he's too old. He took advantage of it. He made fun of it. He recovered all the youth guys to be beside of him, to accompany him, and now we do think that he can keep Colombia free. And we hope that we also can be exactly the best ally of the US. We need the US to turn and look at us, turn their back and look at us, because sometimes we get partners as China because we don't see the interest from the US. We need the US to open their markets for us. We are very tiny for a big market that's yours, and we still get many obstacles to get there. Commercial obstacles distance us from you. If we keep working on it, if you buy from us, we will be very wealthy, and of course this prosperity we get through all the social and economic uh, well-being of our people.
And Senator, I know it's so generous of you to take your time out of your schedule today to talk with us on GETTR and other platforms about the importance of today's election. Before we go, for the new people who are just meeting you for the first time or who are tuning in, one of the things that I've been very impressed by in my 2 trips to Colombia is the growth of the soy cabal movement that you have started energizing and encouraging young conservative thought leaders, talking to people, getting the youth involved in Colombia's politics. Can you share with people what Soy Cabal is about in this conservative movement that you lead? Because I've been so impressed by it.
Thank you, Jason. Cabal is my last name, and cabal also has a meaning of being a correct person cabal. So I took advantage of it to make it as a marketing and to trap people in the good ideas. Good ideas means common sense. Good ideas is defending the nature of things, not defending what is not defending to attack what is normal and twisted to be to normalize what is not. We want to be free. We want our civilization, which is Judeo-Christian, to grow. We love capitalism, but we understand that, for example, in Colombia, we don't enjoy capitalism. We know how countries get in the first stage of prosperity. It's written. We don't need to copy bad ideas that distort people's minds, especially the youth, because the youth are the ones who are catching information and they don't have the experience. So we need, first, to save our freedom. Second, to work together for finally turn the bad reality that we get, turn poverty, lack of opportunities, lack of high or good education into the path that we know is the path we need to grow. But never, Jason, never, and this is for the public, never forgetting that we are individuals, different from one another. You're not equal to you're not identical to your brother. Your children are not identical. You have differences. One has better skills, one's not. However, we are equal in front of what you see the law. We're equal for the eyes of God, but we're different in the way as we born and our spirit. Our spirit. We are unique. We are not like the animals that you can get together and just put a brand. And this difference is not bad, it's wonderful because each spirit has creativity that God has given us. That creativity is the creativity, for example, from the guy who invented the smartphone and changed all the civilization. That creativity means how to change people to live better. That creativity belongs to the spirit that belongs to God. And God made us free, not slaves from anyone.
Wow, that was very powerfully put. And Senator, we are all praying very much for Rodolfo Hernandez today. We're praying for the Colombia people in the future of your great country. And I have to say, Senator, that I personally wish you were on the ballot today. I think that you are a fantastic representative for the Colombian people. I think that someday I believe that you will lead the nation of Colombia. And the Colombian people are very lucky to have you as such a strong, passionate, conservative voice, giving freedom in the freedom of speech and freedom of economic destiny to so many people. And they're lucky to have you.
Thank you very much, Jason. We keep praying and we will celebrate soon. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for all the people that connected at that time. And GETTR. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.